Hello and welcome back to Design Foundations. Now that you've learned about the vital design principles of creating balanced designs, it's time to look at other characteristics of a design. In this lesson, we'll be looking at color and how it affects your composition in a variety of ways. I mentioned in the previous lesson that color plays a part in your design's hierarchy. Well, it also influences the results of your visual message through psychology and perception. First, we'll cover the basics of color theory. Color theory is the technical language for explaining how color works. It's the art and science of mixing and matching colors to look visually appealing and convey messages. A basic tool for understanding color theory is the color wheel, which has long been an educational hands-on tool for learning and discovering colors. The artistic color wheel, which starts with the primary colors red, blue, and yellow, is meant for use with pigments, paints, inks, and natural dyes. When two of these colors mix, you get these secondary colors, green, purple, and orange. This is the color wheel everyone uses to learn about color in schools. Artists and illustrators also learn color theory with the color wheel early on in their studies. But digital and graphic designers learn two additional color modes in order to work on screens and send content to print. These color modes are called CMYK and RGB. The color mode for printed material is CMYK, and the color mode for digital material is RGB. The RGB color mode is made of three primary colors, red, green, and blue. These are colors made of light, and when they overlap, they create these secondary colors, yellow, cyan, and magenta. The CMYK mode is also made up of three primary colors, cyan, magenta, and yellow. The K stands for black because you need black ink to make pure black or to darken other tones. The secondary colors in this color mode are red/orange, green, and blue or violet. When you're designing for screens, you always use the RGB color mode, but if you're designing for print, the printers will switch the color mode to CMYK to match your design to the ink pigments in their machines. When using professional design tools, you can switch color modes yourself. Using the RGB color mode, every color has a hex number code. These numbers are made up of 6 digits, and each 2-digit represents values of red, green, and blue. The values range from 1 to 9. 0 stands for no color, and F stands for full color. Hex numbers are super practical because they help you find and use interesting colors in your designs. You'll notice inside the Visme editor that when you check or change the colors in the color picker, the hex numbers show up to help you keep track of colors. To learn more about color theory, color modes, and hex numbers, refer to our comprehensive color guide. The link is in the lesson resources. Okay, enough about the technical stuff. So now let's get into color psychology and perception of mood. Color psychology refers to how color affects moods and conveys meaning. This applies to every aspect of design, including digital design. An interesting thing about color psychology is that a lot of it has to do with our perceptions of color and how it can be used to create mood. All colors have nuances and characteristics like temperature, tonality, brightness, depth, and saturation. These all work together to create an endless combination of colors. Let's talk about the color yellow. What is the first thing you think of when you think of the color yellow? I bet the first thing you think of was the sun, or maybe even a lemon. This bright version of the color yellow transmits happiness, creativity, and light. But what happens when yellow has another nuance, like a dull or sickly yellow? Then the color yellow is no longer happy and bright. Perceptions like this happen with colors. Green, for example, is generally perceived as natural, fresh color. Many brands that boast a natural aspect use bright, lively green in their logos. Military green, on the other hand, has a different perception, one of camouflage or control. Another color with differing perceptions is brown. Aside from being related to eco-friendly brands, it's also considered a dirty color that doesn't translate to beauty or cleanliness. You can find out more about this in our color psychology guide, an article about color perceptions. Before we move on to some Visme tips for using color, let's discuss color palettes. A color palette is a combination of colors used in a design. They're the colors used in the titles, the text, any design elements, and even the images. Following a color palette in your designs, it makes it easier to construct a balanced composition and layout. All our Visme templates, for example, have been designed with pre-selected color palettes. Color palettes for design typically have between 3 and 5 colors and are formulated as color harmonies, which means that the combination of colors is harmonious and balanced. Colors on their own can set a mood, but a color palette can create an entire atmosphere. Let's look at the color palette of our home decor promotional booklet. The colors are a strong and classy terracotta, a calm cream, a very dark green for text, and touches of ochre and dark gray or black. So look at how each color has a hex number under it. You could copy all the colors and apply the palette to another design. Now let's look how Visme helps you use color in several ways. First of all, this is the color settings dialog. This is where you can change the color of an object, browse color palettes, and extract colors from an image. If you'd like to change all the colors on the design simultaneously, you can use the pre-designed color themes. You can easily create a color theme from your brand colors in your Visme brand kit. More on that later. In this lesson, we looked at how color plays an important part in a design. That said, we've only really touched the surface. We recommend that you read the articles we've linked in the resources for this lesson, so you'll gain lots more knowledge about how color works, how to use it, and how it can affect your design goal. Now that you know a bit more about color than you did at the beginning of this lesson, be aware of the colors and designs around you. Look at social media posts, billboards, or packaging, and analyze how they used color to get their message across. In the next installment, we'll be talking about fonts and typograph. You'll learn how to use type as part of the design and not an afterthought. So, I'll see you soon.